morning from rainy Atlanta. We're in the middle of winter, as they call it. Welcome to February and welcome to the month where we are doing some great things. Thank you to iSpace 2 Studios in Marietta for having us. We're glad to be on this wonderful set. In the studio with me behind the cameras is the one and the only Molo Wilson from New Dawn Productions. My name is Diana Courier with Rand Consultants, and we have a special guest in the house that I'm excited to talk to. I've known him for a number of years in a variety of roles and wearing many hats, but today he's here for one particular hat, some good things that he has coming on the horizon, and we're going to talk about all things. He'll tell us all things what. Please welcome to the studio, my one and only friend. How do you like us to call you? I'll let you introduce yourself because you wear many hats and you have many names.
Well, true.
Yeah.
True. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
It's indeed an honor to be in this great place.
Yeah.
You folks are doing amazing things. And where else to come and share the good news other than here?
Here.
A place where it will reach anyone and everyone.
That's great.
So I'm glad to be here.
What's your name and what do you do?
So my name's Peter Mbugua.
Mm-hmm. What's your other name that we know you by?
A lot of folks know me by Gigs.
Gigs.
That's for the soccer world out there.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But yes, that's my official names.
Your official names.
Official names.
And so you wear many hats. You are the captain of JFC team. You're a community leader. You have won awards, so we can call you an awardee. But today you're here in the capacity of what?
So, and yes, I do wear those many hats.
Yes.
Of course, some extended by the community, which I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
But today I'm here as a licensed financial professional.
Okay. What company are you with and as a licensed financial professional?
I'm actually an independent broker.
Okay.
So I do have my own company.
Yeah.
The company is called Ignite Leadership Development.
Okay.
Yes.
Where does that name come from? Why Ignite? You know, names are important. You just don't wake up one day and be like, okay, I'm going to call it. Why didn't you call it Gigs Insurance or Gigs Licensed Professionals or something like that?
The reason for it is because for me, as an individual, I always believe we need a spark in life.
Okay.
We need something to be ignited in everyday life.
Yeah.
Our community needs to be ignited in something. We need to have a vision, but with that vision, we need to have something burning. A fire needs to be lit somewhere.
Otherwise, we're just going to be...
We're just going to be there.
Cool. Yeah. Yes. So you're here to ignite some... People need to get to it, and you're here to ignite the spark.
Correct.
Okay. So what does a licensed financial professional do?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
We do insurance, of course.
Okay.
We do annuities. We do education. We do have debt management, estate planning, legacy planning.
Wow.
It's a whole host of things.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we always just group them in insurance.
True, which is what the vast majority of people out there think.
Yeah.
I think it's a notion that's been labeled out there to us, but that's just one
of the
many things.
Yeah. So if it's one of the many things and the one that people most know, even when you talk annuities, that's a whole other thing. I'd like you to explain what that is. But what are you seeing out there in terms, like, why now? Why are you doing this? Why are you making awareness? Why are you giving awareness? Why is it important? Like, why are we here discussing this? Why can't it just be another thing that we do, like, what do you say, your 401k or whatever? You get a job, okay, sign here, you've done it. Why is this important? Why are we making awareness or noise about it? Why are we sparking the flame about this?
We have to spark the flame. It's better to do it now than to wait. It's better to have a parachute on the plane, on top of the cliff.
Yeah.
That way, when
you're jumping off,
you have it, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're actually late. Maybe this discussion, we could have had it years past. So for me, I think it is now because our community is suffering, our society is suffering. And if not now, then when?
When? So when you say that we should have had this conversation years back, where were you hiding? Why? And not just you, okay? When I say where were you, I mean like you and all your professionals in the field. what was making us not have these discussions then, or as they say, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday? Like, why didn't we plant the trees yesterday?
I think the trees were planted because there's some others that came before us.
Before.
So somebody paved a way.
Yeah.
So did we listen? That's the question for ourselves, right? And when we heard, or when when the information was out there, what did we do with it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that why now. I think what we are doing pretty much is putting a little bit more emphasis to what has already been put out there.
Okay.
And also coming out to kind of expatiate a little bit to
Yeah.
what we kind of have a notion of what this is all about.
I feel like one thing I would say is that most of us, our age group, maybe we came here in our 20s, we immigrated and came in our 20s, and the first few years, the first 30 decades, we were just struggling to find footing, right? Where do I belong? What am I doing? What is the culture? What is the system, and all that kind of things. And so some of these things came to us later in life, where now we are starting to realize that we need this. Do you see it as a trend that the younger ones who we have paved way for are actually taking it on earlier, or is it still the same? Do we need to spark the flame with them?
We do definitely need to spark the flame with them.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a little different because we have a generational change.
Yeah.
Our young folks, maybe 25 and under, are on a different wavelength, which is a
In
good thing.
in what sense?
In a good sense, in a sense that they are a little bit more open-minded.
To
than-
exploring.
Exactly. Unlike some of us who came here, you're told to do this. And like you said, those of us who have been here for decades,
Yeah.
the first thing we came here told to do,
Yeah.
come, go to school,
Yeah.
get your degree,
Yeah.
get employed, start a life. That's it. The young folks nowadays have a free
Yeah.
mind frame
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
wanting to know more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I believe they're better off than
Than we
are.
are. So we paved the way for them. So don't just think, youngins, you did this. We kind of paved the way. But so for those of us who are starting quote unquote late, because there's nothing like late. You start when you start. Those of us who are starting late, when you look at it, is it what was stopping us? Is it cultural? Is it mindset? Is it like, why are we so resistant to wanting you come to speak to me about insurance? I mean, after all, I believe in God and He's going to take care of me, and I have faith I'm going to make it. I'll just be fine. It is well.
True.
Yes.
We're not late, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's a little bit about mindset, and it's also a little bit about culture.
Yeah.
If you come from where I come from,
Yeah.
we don't talk about things that can make me exit this world. It's almost like
It's taboo, right?
right?
It's taboo.
So there is that.
Yeah.
There is also the notion of I'll get to it
When I get to
when I
it.
get to it. So you put it on the back burner, but unfortunately, we put it on a back burner until something happens. Then we are a reactive society. And when something happens, the same society, we forget. We tend to forget things pretty quickly. I don't know whether that's by choice or by design or just whatever the reason might be.
Yeah.
But that's who we are as a people. So
Yeah.
it's the high time we change that notion of, hey, when I'm telling you to protect yourself,
Now. Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to protect yourself because something is going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm telling you to protect yourself because you care about somebody.
Yeah.
You care about your family.
Yeah.
You care about your loved ones. That's the sole reason we're telling you to protect
To do
yourself.
it, yeah.
Because if something was to happen to you,
Yeah.
if your income ended today, because if you don't have a job,
Yeah.
do you
Will be na
have-
mchango.
it will be an mchango. But
Yeah.
and let me say this. If we do a mchango for you, maybe because you have a cancer or a stroke or something like that, how long would that mchango sustain you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. There are things, they say when in Rome, do as the Romans do. True?
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
These people do things differently.
Yeah.
We have come to unlock or at least learn about some of them. And that's
Yeah.
why we want to share it to
And
anyone who's willing to listen.
And so these taboos and these things that we can't talk about, how do you deal with that? Because that's part. Okay, so in terms of insurance, annuities, finances, and all that kind of stuff, it's not so much about what you are selling to me. Is if I trust you with what I'm working hard to earn to do what you say. And part of it also could be we don't understand. It's the stock market. It's going up. It's going down. I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to have everything. How do you deal with the resistance, the taboos, the we can't talk about that now. Why talk about death and what happens after that and that type of thing? How do you manage that to convince me to get ready for the future?
You have to want to get ready for the future, right? So if you don't, and there are two sets of people, right?
Okay.
First set of people is who want to take control of themselves, their future, and the future of their generations.
Mm-hmm.
There are those who would want maybe the government to take control over their stuff. Last time I checked, and I'm stand corrected, I don't know anyone here with maybe their right mind would want the government to take control over any. And I'm not talking about this government. I'm talking about any government.
Which is what would happen if you do not do
Exactly.
anything.
So if you don't take control, somebody else will take control for you.
Yeah.
So which one would you rather have?
It's a choice, yeah?
It's a choice.
It's a choice. Why did you get into the insurance field? Why? I mean, you wear many hats. There's so much stuff you could do. Why this one?
This one, particularly for me, is because I love my community. For those that know me, that know that I want to see some change. I know that I cannot change the entire world.
Yeah.
But I can change the world in just one person's
One
life.
person.
Right?
Yeah.
I've been to 1 million of fundraisers in our community. I've been in so many communities. I've chaired a whole hosts of WhatsApp groups and committee of friends, or however you want to call it. And one day I thought, you want to tell me we don't have a better way? But yes, I chair a committee, we raise funds, we send somebody home, or we do whatever we need to do, but yet we don't do anything for their 5-year-old. And that kind of pained me, knowing that I'm somebody who would want to see something different. And because of that, I decided to join this industry because there is a different way.
There's a different
and there
way
is
of
a
doing
way
it.
out.
Yeah. What's the most rewarding part of doing this?
The most rewarding part for me, it is to see the joy of a family member who's been going through grief and pain and sorrow, right? But after we have done this and that and all is said and done, their family are left debt-free.
Yeah.
Their children can go to college without taking a student loan.
Yeah.
They don't have to be kicked out of their apartment or their homes.
Yeah.
They start a project from wherever they come from. Like we have somebody, I'm not going to name names because of privacy, who has started a water project for his village. His village has no water. But because of a misfortune, this individual was able to get a payout that enabled him now to supply water in his entire village. That to me is good enough.
Which that actually plays into what we know now as we grow older as legacy. Right?
Exactly.
Like, what are we doing beyond just living and working the 8 to 5s, the 2-3 jobs that will make a difference in the lives of our children or our families? And I feel like maybe that's the one thing that, no matter how much hard we work for all these years, will not compare as in if you did get like an insurance policy or learning basically to put financial things in place that will make sure that you take care of your loved ones. How hard are you finding it to do this job? What is the obstacles that you're running into in terms of just not necessarily convincing or just sparking the fire to be like, let's do this? What obstacles are you finding?
I wouldn't call them obstacles.
Challenges?
Well,
opportunities?
Right.
Yeah.
You can. I think for me, the opportunity is this information has been hidden.
Okay.
Right. So it's
even in this day and age of the internet and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This unfortunately, it's not on CNN, because if it is on CNN, then everybody would know about it, right? It's the little that's out there on social media. It's not the full blown, ironed out information. So the challenge is that a lot of people, especially those who've been here for years and years, those who have titles upon titles, right? We have people who know it all. Some have all the paperwork and the doctorate degrees in them. They have the paperwork, but they don't have this information. So the challenge comes in. I come to you and tell you this information, and you tell me, I've been here since the airlift. How come I've never heard this?
Right.
That is the challenge. So the challenge I'm facing, or we are facing, is that people, just because maybe they never heard of it, right?
Yeah.
It becomes something that's Greek to them.
Yeah.
And before they accept it,
Yeah.
it's hurdles that we have to overcome.
So what steps are you taking to do that? For example, are you, do you have meetings? Are you meeting people one-on-one? Are you doing sessions? Are you what are you trying to do to bring that awareness? So somebody's like, how come I never knew Giggs is doing this? I only meet him at the soccer field. I know he's doing, JFC stuff, but this other aspect, how do I transform it from just being a casual, oh, we don't need to discuss that, to you actually need to do something about it? What steps are you taking to do that?
So the steps we're taking, yes, we are having meetings, right? So we probably will go every other month and we'll have a meeting. People will see the invites out there. So we'll get a hall, we'll have speakers, we'll have trainers, we'll have some of these well-known big companies that we partner with.
Yeah.
And they'll come, and some of them, we use them because they're household names. We're not coming here with companies you've never heard of. They'll come and they'll broaden what we are trying to say or what we are trying to educate. So this information is out there. And yes, we'll consistently do those meetings. And of course, for me, I've purposed myself to extend myself to come to you, wherever you may be. And let's have, because the discussion of money is not taught in schools, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure all of us here have gone to some school, have a degree of some sort, right?
Yeah.
Those who went to business school like myself, I don't remember this class that was taught about money.
And how to handle it.
Because the discussion of money is a kitchen table discussion. So if you don't talk money with your kids in the kitchen table or whoever your friends, that is not going to be in a finance class.
Okay. So how do I get started? Where and I think for me personally, now that I've learned a little bit about the journey, I'm more able to, I'm more confident on how to approach it. But if I'm a new person, green, never heard of this, right? You get nervous. Sometimes I feel like we are supposed to come to you with $10,000. Is that the case?
No.
Or am I? Because that's the perception, right? Those are the myths and the stigma that is out there.
Right. So if you go to buy a shoe,
yes. Right? A Jordan, the new
if you
Jordans
go to buy
are
your
out.
J's, the new Jordans are out. Jordan will, let's not talk about that for this
We're
session.
gonna buy shoes,
right?
Yes.
When you walk into the shoe place or the shoe shop, how many sizes of shoes are there? Plenty.
Whatever
you
your
get
fit.
whatever fits
you.
Okay. Same notion here.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a one size fits all. The notion of I need to have X amount of money or I need to do this or the other, that is simply
I don't know that. That's why I don't come to you, because I don't know. I'm like, you're going to laugh at my little chicken change.
And that's the problem we make as a people.
Yeah.
Because you think you're too small.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you think you're that small, try and spend a night with a mosquito. Okay?
You
it is
all
the tiniest little unknowing thing. You're not going to get any sleep.
You're right.
So as much as you think your $1,000, your $5,000, your 100, your 50 bob is small, trust me, it is not small.
Yeah.
You're the one who's seeing it as small.
As small.
You have to choose to see it half full or half empty.
But and that's a confidence and a mindset thing, by the way, that I think we have to deal with that within ourselves to understand. Come as you are, and we'll make it work. Basically,
correct.
Right. So, how do you help me grow my money? I've come with my $500, and now I'm like, okay, all right, let's show me what you got. How do you help me grow my money?
To grow your money, and it's a process.
It's a process.
But one thing I can tell you maybe in this session is that money does not grow overnight.
Yes.
Money grows.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the moment you come with your 500, 200, 1,000, whatever, just understand that your money does not grow overnight.
It doesn't, yeah.
And the moment you come with that mindset, you will learn that there is a place where you can hide your money and money grows for you. We learned about simple and compound interest back in the day, right? And Albert Einstein said, and I quote, "It is the eighth wonder of the world."
What? The compound interest.
Right? And he went on to say, "He who understands it earns it, but he who doesn't pays for it." The question for you, are you paying that compound interest or are you earning it? If you're paying, you need to find a way to earn it.
He who understands it earns it.
Mhm.
He who doesn't pays for it.
Correct.
Pays for it.
Let me give an example real quick. If
Okay.
you have a mortgage, for example,
Yes,
right?
yes.
On average, mortgage is a 30-year mortgage.
Yes.
Right? So if you're watching this, do me a simple math. Get your calculators,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Once you get your calculator, your mortgage payment, let's
Yeah.
assume is $2,500.
Do you want me to get a calculator?
do,
Okay,
right?
I'm going to get a calculator.
Please get a calculator.
Okay, and you said, what are we starting with? Okay.
So we are starting with the compound effect.
Yes.
And we're talking about a mortgage.
Yes.
Let's say you go to somewhere and buy a home for, on average, home in Marietta, Kennesaw, what? 500K.
Nowadays, yes.
All right. So you bought your home for 500K.
Yes.
Your mortgage, if you bought your home for 500K, is roughly around 20,
Yeah.
23,
Pretty
2600.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just assume, and this is for just example purposes, right? Let's assume your mortgage is 2,500.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So 2,500 every month.
Yes.
Multiply that by 12. Why 12? It's the year.
The month, yeah, in a year.
So 2,500,
30K.
30K.
Yes.
A year.
Yes.
Your mortgage is for 30 years.
Yes.
Multiply that by 30.
Times 30. 900,000.
Okay.
But I bought it for 500,000.
So who's staying at the other home because you're paying for two? See the power of
the compounding interest. Compounding interest is taken by the house.
Exactly. So guess what? In some of these products that we have, your money can do exactly just like your mortgage, right? So the money that you save, say if your money does not double, there's a power rule of 72. Read about that.
Yeah.
Money should not take you 72 years to double. So if you're saving your money where it's not growing any interest at all, because we can argue, and again, I'm not a mathematician, but for those who are,
Yeah.
and please go with your CPA and do this math. How much interest are you getting from your checking account?
Yeah.
Barely nothing, right?
It's not even barely. It's beyond barely.
How much are you getting from your savings account? Same story.
Same thing.
So are you beating inflation
Yeah.
with the way your money is growing?
Yeah.
No, you're not. So there is places here, there is buckets, portfolios where we can put some of that money
Yeah.
that's collecting dust in your savings account.
Yeah.
Put it somewhere else where you'll gain interest.
I feel like a thing that, as we're talking, that has hit me is part of the problem also why we don't discuss these things, because the elephant is too big to chew. Like, you just give me that little example of the mortgage and what I could be doing with the money if I could, do the math properly and figure it out. Makes so much sense than you trying to tell me, go buy insurance. Because even the stuff we do at work, for example, 401k, you start a job, they just tell you sign here. You don't even know what percentage you're supposed to be putting on your W-2s, what you're supposed to, they tell you we're matching. There's so much thrown at you.
Right.
You're signing things you don't know. It's only maybe when you do your taxes a year later and you're like, oh, you're not contributing enough, or you learn from somebody else who is maxing out their contributions and that kind of thing. You don't even know what that means. You're afraid to leave your job in case you lose all that stuff. But it's because the elephant is too big to chew. So part of what I feel like we're facing is the dissemination of information.
Correct.
Is not there enough for people to be able to eat it in little bites, and it won't be fixed in one meeting.
No.
Yeah.
No, and it's true. I mean, the notion, for example, I know you mentioned 401k, and it's out there, and everybody who's working for any organization,
Yeah.
they probably offer it.
Yeah.
And they
as a
tell
benefit.
you, put $100 here, we'll give you $100 there.
Yeah.
I tell anyone who's willing to listen, take the free money. What you don't also understand is that now in your 401k, for example, and again, I'm not against the 401k, I'm just saying once you have that money there,
Yeah.
you need to do something with it. Because if another COVID-19 hits,
Right.
you can lose
And the
all
things
that money.
tank. Yeah.
If there's another war somewhere,
Yeah.
Ukraine, Russia, you name it,
Yeah.
Why will you lose money in your 401k? Because it's directly linked to the stock market. And the sad part is you're actually paying somebody to manage that
To do it.
portfolio.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether you're making money or you're
Or
not.
not.
Right?
Yeah.
Assuming you're paying somebody just 2%. You have 100K in your 401k.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just paying them what? 2%. So in a year, you pay them what? Maybe $2,000.
Yeah. $2,000.
In 30 years, you would have paid them $60,000.
And you're not the only person they're managing their
And you're
portfolio.
not making money.
Yeah.
So would you rather be paying or keeping that money? Remember, the more you keep, the less you pay, the more you keep.
So if in that sense, talking about dissemination of information, right? There's a 401k and then there's what you're doing, right?
Right.
How am I comparing apples and apples? Like how are you telling me that what you're suggesting is a thing that I should do in conjunction with my 401k, or how do I approach it? How do I take it and disseminate it and bring you the money and say, okay, my 401k is not doing this, but how can I do something with what you're giving?
I always say diversify your portfolios.
Diversify.
Right? And the reason why I say that is because if your employer is giving you free money,
Yeah.
by all means, take it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But guess what, though? The money that you have in your 401k today, if something was to happen to you today,
Yeah.
if you have 100K,
Yeah.
that's all you're going to get.
The
Mind you,
100K.
that might be tied up in probate court. That's another discussion.
Yes.
It might be tied up somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And before maybe taxes, this and the other, and probate court happens, by the end of the day, you might not walk home, or your family or beneficiary or loved ones might not walk home with 100K.
No, definitely not.
But if that money was sitting in like an insurance policy, you could be walking home with $1 million.
Because it's compounded.
It is compounding, number one. And there is a protection part as well for it. As unlike your 401k, it's just money sitting there. Right? So there is no protection for your money. Right? So I would suggest, and I would say, let's sit down. Let's have an honest conversation.
Yeah. Of what
about
really we have.
What you have.
Yeah.
What it can do for you.
Yeah.
And then you decide on, because remember, we are all adults
Yeah.
to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day,
We can't hide anymore.
we can't hide anymore, and no one will make that decision
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. And it's those hard conversations, to be honest, that are requiring us to have these conversations, right?
Correct.
Because, I mean, death is inevitable. And we've been in the community and have to take care of a couple of those situations, right, where you're dealing with funerals. And it always leaves you wondering, are they taken care of after this? Like, after we have sent somebody home, or we have raised money for this and that, is it going to leave a change, or is it going to... And those are hard conversations to have.
We have to accept that will happen.
It's
at
a
some
reality,
point.
yeah.
The reality will happen.
It will happen.
When this rain falls, it will hit a house.
Yeah.
What are the chances that that's going to be your house? The question is,
Yeah.
once it hits your house,
Yeah.
what do you have? Right? Because we can do a fundraiser. Now, let's just assume that there is a single dad or a single mom, right? Something happens to them, right? And they're deceased. What happens to this child? Because we can come out here, we can raise $50,000, right, as a community. And we'll take care of the funeral and all that stuff, and we're done. What happens to the child?
Yeah.
On average, in this United States, I believe, and I stand corrected, it almost costs about 17 to 20,000 a year
To...
to take care of a child,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, if it takes you 20K to take care of a child, we've raised 50,000. We have sent you back home using 20,000.
20,000.
So we have 30,000 left. So that means we can only take care of this child, bear more or less for 2 years.
Yeah.
What happens after that? Do you see where homelessness comes?
Yeah.
Do you see where foster homes comes? Do you see where we send now people to live with their grandmothers and grandparents somewhere? These kids don't know any of that, right? But can you imagine if we had something in place
Yeah.
that if something was to happen to you, to me, there is an estate that's going to come and take care of a lump sum of $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
By this time this child gets to college
Yeah.
or becomes an adult, we're
Yeah.
talking about 17 years.
Yeah.
On average, it's going to be almost 350 to 400K for a child to be of 5-year-old to get to 18 to where maybe they can take care of themselves. And then 18, trust me, between 18 and 25, these are still kids.
Yeah, they're still kids.
Right?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is let's be honest with our thinking and let's have an honest conversation.
So let's switch gears a bit. I am a 18-year-old, right?
Okay.
I've been doing some summer jobs here and there. Now I'm about to go to college. I'm having a job. I'm having an internship. I'm starting to come into a little money. Let me move, not to 18, 19, 20, because now you're settled down, right? What is your recommendation to me? I am like, should I wait till I am 30 to start being like, I can put my money over there in an insurance policy? Because let's be real, that's not their first thought. Their first thought is, how am I going to buy the shoe? I'm going to buy the car. I'm going to buy the whatever. What if you had an ideal situation of what a young adult should do? What does that look like?
And that's a beautiful question. And I wish some of us, especially when we came here, we knew that, right? Because people went doing rugby fest, doing soccer fest, doing whatever, Atlanta, whatever it was.
Thanksgiving
Thanks,
week.
right? But that young adult that's out there, that's starting to get money flowing or income coming in, guess what? I would not suggest to anyone to wait. And this actually does not apply just to young adults. It applies to anyone who's willing to listen. Remember, the waiting game is a losing game. We don't know what's going to happen when we leave this place. Right?
Yeah.
The younger you are, the lesser the cost. The healthier you are, by chances are. Because you live here, you get a stroke or you start getting sick, you have pre-existing conditions. Now guess what?
Things change.
Things
now
change.
The
dynamics will start changing.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll see a lot of people now are starting to have issues. Why? Let me just give you a story without mentioning names. I spoke to one of a friend of a friend. And they said, you know what? I'll think about it. I have this trip planned to go home. When I come back, we'll sit down. No problem.
They were telling you this.
Yes.
Okay.
So they went home.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened when they were home. I think whether they ate something or something happened. They went places and some disease outbreak kind of happened. When they came back and went straight to a hospital.
Oh.
I'm telling you, from the airport straight to the hospital. Now, while at the hospital, I didn't know what was going on. I even had no clue. But now doctors have come in. They're doing all this stuff. All this stuff is going on your record, by the way.
Oh.
All right? All this stuff is going on your record.
Oh.
To a point where they do surgery, they do this, and the other.
And you have no control to
You
say
have no
anything
control
about
at this point, right? Now, when they get a little bit better from that, they call me and say, Gigs, we need to talk. I'm like, sure, what's going on?
The spark
But
has
I could
been
tell
lit.
some urgency with this.
Yeah.
And I could tell, whoa, this person is really ignited about the whole thing.
Yeah.
They failed to mention one thing to me, though. That the reason why they are calling me with all this urgency is because something has happened. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Which
why-
changes things.
Which changes the whole dynamics.
Yeah.
At that point, I told them, well, you know what, the sad thing is, all this stuff is going to be pulled for your records. And I told them, that is not my work to do. I will still try and push it through for
Yeah.
you. However,
Yeah.
I'm just going to be very honest with you, because you're going to show, it's just like credit. You come to buy your car, they'll pull your credit all home. They'll tell you,
They can see everything.
yeah.
They can see everything.
Same notion here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying to that 19-year-old, that young adult, that young parent, that whoever is listening to us now. The time is now.
The best time to plant a tree.
Is now.
Yes, you're better off doing it now. So, as I was reading up before we came to have this conversation, I read something about income replacement. What is that?
We call it an income replacement account.
Yeah.
So let's assume, or let's say this. Today is Saturday.
Yeah.
A lot of people got paid yesterday,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Or Friday, Thursday.
And Valentine's weekend, we gotta go party.
All right?
Yes.
Now, assuming that the check you received yesterday
Yeah.
was the last check you received. From tomorrow,
God forbid.
no more checks.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
No more checks.
Yeah.
Now, if that was the last check you received, and no more checks from then, you will have to do something to maintain your lifestyle, true?
I mean, you have to pay your bills, you have to keep living.
Exactly. You have to maintain the status of living, true?
Yeah, yeah.
As far as I can see us having this conversation, you're healthy.
Yes.
You drove here.
Yes.
You probably slap an Uber sticker in your car,
Yes.
drive strangers around
Yeah.
to maintain, right?
Some sort of living, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what if you stopped working because of an illness? Will that make the situation better or worse?
Worse.
Is being sick a matter of if or when?
When?
So when the when happens,
Mhm.
what account do you have that will take care of you if you stop working? A cancer will hit. I'm sure we all have friends who are going through that, right?
Yeah, a number.
An income replacement account is an account that will take care of you when you're to get a chronic or a critical illness or a terminal illness.
Yeah.
Meaning that if the doctor says you have 12 or so months to live, you get all your money in one of these buckets while you're still alive.
And so is it also just a matter of whatever you have, put it in there, or is it a certain amount, or is it like, you know, do you just decide I'm going to be putting away $50 every month or something like that?
Again, it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Not a one
You
size
can come here and tell me you want to dump as much money as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell how much anyone out there is
Has.
willing to save.
Yeah.
And I don't say pay because you're not paying anything. This is your own money. The same money you would put in your savings account.
Saving.
You're saving it for yourself. But take a look at this. Assuming you have a portfolio of $1 million, right? And you walk out, you're not feeling well, you go to Grady or you go to Piedmont, Wellst or whatever, and they tell you you have breast cancer, right? The moment that diagnosis is
Put in.
if you had $1 million policy sitting, you get a portion of that money while you're still alive. This portion goes sometimes up to 90%. Can you imagine getting 90%?
But that's with this insurance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine getting 90% of $1 million while you're still alive?
To help you. So
It will
to take away the stress of dealing with that while you're going through the illness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe, and this is my own belief, that actually we don't succumb to the illness. We succumb with the headache and
That
the
comes
issues
with it,
that
yeah.
comes with it.
The willpower of dealing with that is
Correct.
what actually, and that's true. I think most people, what you're fighting is not even the disease; it's the strength to keep, going with all of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the income replacement account.
Okay. What common mistakes do people make when they're planning for financial security in your thoughts? Like what do we do that you'd like to caution that, and I know one of the things you did say was diversify.
Right.
Like sometimes we don't. We just put all the eggs in a basket and forget about it and be like, boom, I'm gone. I hope I'm going to make $1 million by the time I
Right.
am, this age.
And I think that's the problem number one.
Yeah.
And I think the other problem is we kind of know it all, right? And we cease to listen to options. Do I know everything? No, I don't.
Yeah. But you're more learning than I am because I don't have time to go and look up
Right.
whatever is new in the market that will help.
We have to have an open mindset because when it comes to your finances or when it comes to your family, nobody's interested in your future more than yourself, right? So if you're putting all your money in your 401k, you have to ask yourself honest questions. Somebody wrote a book, and I'll find it, I'll share it next time, that a 401k is for those who are planning to be poor when they retire,
Why?
right?
Why?
Because there is taxes involved, there is the ups and downs of the market, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know what happened to the stock market a week ago.
Yeah.
That thing was red across the board.
Yeah.
And there is the notion, and I'm not saying don't run stocks. There are professionals who do a master job in that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't stop. I'm not saying stop what you do. No,
No.
I'm just saying diversify.
Diversity.
But guess what though? If
Don't
you
put
had,
all your eggs in one basket.
if you had your money in your 401k,
Yeah.
let's just go back to the war in Russia and Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the 401k then? What happened to the stock market when COVID-19 hit?
Happened.
Let's push a little bit back, 2008, when the housing market crashed.
Oh man, are
right?
you reminding us? That was 2008.
That's
man.
2000. Let's go back to 2002 when the dot-com bubble was happening. I mean, we can go back in history. And the history has taught us that market will go up,
And it
you'll
will
make
go
a lot
up.
of money.
Yeah.
It will drop.
It's just a matter of when.
Now, when the market corrects itself, there is this notion that's being peddled out there that you will bounce back. Let's do simple math. If you have $1,000 today, and the market went down by 50%, right? That means you have how much left?
Okay, you started with
We started with $1,000.
$1,000.
The market went down 50%.
Yes.
So
you had
50%.
500
You had
bucks.
500.
Yes.
True?
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
the market bounced back by 50%.
I'm back to my 1,000.
No, you're not.
No, why?
Because 500, 50% of 500 is not 1,000. That's the notion we're not
Oh,
being
so
taught.
I'm at 750.
Correct.
Oh.
So when we say the market will bounce back,
Oh.
it will, but you've lost money. Their money has rules, right?
Is that happening in my insurance insurance?
It is happening in your 401k.
In my 401k, but if I sign up for the insurance that you're talking, is that the same thing that
That
happened
is not
to
happening. Why? Because it's not tied up with the ups and the downs of the market, right? The beauty about some of these products out here, do you participate in the gains? You do. Do you participate in the drops? You don't. And that's a conversation I'm willing to have. Because you need to understand exactly how that happens. Because when you have money in your 401k, like I just told you, you will lose that 500. Tomorrow it will bounce back 50%, but it's 50% of 500 that's left.
Not 1,000.
So you'll be back at 750. 200 bob, 250, disappeared. You should have bought yourself a new shoe.
So, what do you say to the person who is, man, I am trying to do everything that I can do. I am working within my budget. I am not living extravagantly. I have added everything down to whatever. I am barely making it, right? And this thing is a necessity that I have to do. That's how I'm looking at this. What can I do to increase my cash flow so I can come and give you something to put in there?
You see, increasing cash flow it's a whole other topic. Because guess what? We also have opportunities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You see, you can become an entrepreneur. You can even join us in this business.
Right.
The industry is wide open.
There's a big pie.
There is a big pie
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
Because guess what? We all do hustles. People like
Yes.
to call them that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your hustle could be driving Uber. Your hustle could be doing DoorDash, Amazon deliveries, whatnot. Right? All those are hustles, and they are good. This industry also has a room for that. The beauty about it is you learn so much. You learn so much about personal finances. You learn so much about insurance products. You learn so much about all these companies with all these great things. And you would wonder, where have I been? So if your issue is to say, well, I'm living on a bare bones, number one, what I would say is...
Because, and let me interject, because even if you're living on bare bones, you still have to pay car insurance, right? So like if this becomes a necessity like that...
And that's how we should look at it,
That's
right?
how we should look at it.
Let me ask you this. In your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
How many houses have burned down?
I haven't seen one.
Thank you.
Why are you so quick to say that?
No, it's because it's true. But do you go any month or any year without paying that insurance?
No,
you don't.
no.
Let me give
You
you
gotta be
this.
paid.
Thank you. Let me
Yeah.
give you this. Can you imagine? I've been in the auto lending industry for a while.
Yeah.
Right? The moment somebody walks out of a dealership with a car, the first thing before they're handed the key, we require, or the industry demands,
That?
you have insurance on that vehicle.
Yes.
The moment you buy a home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Before the paperwork is finished signing
Anything.
at that table at the law firm or whatever, you're going to do that. They
Insurance.
demand that you have what? Home insurance.
Home insurance, yeah.
Now, you, your husband, your wife, your kids, and the loved ones who are living in that home, are they insured? We are going to an extent of insuring plane tickets in case I miss my flight. We've gone to an extent
I
of
did that
insuring
once
my
last
iPhone,
year.
right? Just in case it breaks down,
It
I
breaks.
need a new one.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
We are insuring pets. I just had a client, I had to insure their snakes. Story for another day. But we have gone to that extent. But yet, who is paying for all this?
You touched somewhere with the phone and the ticket and my lost luggage insurance. You done hit a spot
nerve
there.
somewhere.
You have hit a nerve somewhere.
But you see, we're insuring all these things.
Yeah.
But yet, you who's paying for it, you're not insured.
I think the notion that it's very expensive is what is a myth that has overtaken the benefits
Right.
that come out of doing this. Because the thing is like, I'm putting this money, I need money now, and I'm not going to be there to spend it later, quote unquote, like, if you're leaving it for your beneficiaries or whatever. And so the myth is why put towards it. But the reality of how insurance has changed over time is that it's not just going somewhere and lock somewhere until you're gone.
And
Right?
that is the naked truth. We have been taught, or we were taught back in the day, that you have to die, that somebody can benefit. And that's why a lot of our people...
That's a big thing.
And
Somebody
that-
has to die.
And that's why a lot of our people are scared of it.
Yes.
And some of them are under the notion of, okay, why would I put this for my kids who don't even listen to me to enjoy, right? So that's the notion, but that's not true. Because as it is today, if you have a child and you want to take him to school without taking a student loan, guess what? Put yourself in an account that will do that. And it's tangled up in these products.
So
Right.
that the child doesn't have to be working while going to school. They can actually go to school.
They can just go to school.
Yeah.
Because you'll have the money sitting there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So all these are tangled up in there. It's just that it's not on CNN. Why?
It's been kept out of the limelight. We're just now unlocking. Well, some people not.
And this information, honestly, it's not that it's not out there.
It's out there.
Right.
But in the age we live in, all the information has been given. It's who has time to comb through it and figure out what you need.
Correct.
Yeah.
And some of this information is in books. They say if you want to hide
Who
information,
reads? Who
there you go.
reads? Yeah.
If you want to
Hide
hide
it in a
information from
book.
the average people,
Hide it in a book.
hide it in a book. It's there. And these books are not big. Some of them, like there's like a small book, 71 pages. But we are caught up in the rat race and the hamster wheel of this country.
Of this country.
Right?
Yeah.
So we want to go do one job, do the next job, do the next job. And then when you look at your paycheck,
And time is passing. Let's not forget that part.
there you go.
Yeah.
But who gets the biggest laugh?
Yeah.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Personally, I started learning or paying attention to this or even getting into this because of one thing and one thing alone. I always used to feel like if I was to pass away, I don't want people trying to beg other people to bury me. That was the one thing. Like, you cannot work your whole life. Right? And it's not even about what are we leaving everybody else. Just leaving your family with a peace of mind that I'm not leaving them with a burden was the one thing that made my ears stand up. Because it was just, you cannot be on the planet for 40, 50, 60 years and you leave people with a bigger problem than you came with because you didn't come with that much of a burden.
Right.
And some of us, because we know we are trying to have these discussions in the community, especially the Kenyan community, about where people want to be, what happens to you after you pass away. Do you want to be buried at home? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried here? Like, those conversations need to start taking place. And if that's the case, what are you doing to handle that business before it gets there?
And that's why I think I said earlier, who do you want to have a plan for you? You either take charge of your finances and your life, or let the government do it for you. I can tell you without fear that if you let somebody else do it, they're not going to do the best job, right? But if you want to take control of it all, we even have a concierge funeral plan with a company that will take you.
Concierge. That's the community. They'll be like, hey, slow down, sir.
Take
Concierge
you
funeral.
to wherever. If you want to be buried in the south side of Spain, guess what? They will take you there, right? And this is just like an added bonus because you are smart enough or you are open-minded enough to protect yourself. So these things, like I said, the wealthy, they don't use it to bury anyone because they know cancer will happen. And the issue is not about cancer because every time we mention cancer, stroke, and this and this and the other,
Yeah,
people think
yeah.
those are major diseases.
Yeah,
But do you know what?
yeah.
I like to talk about the survival.
Yeah.
Like prostate cancer, right? 95% of the people,
You live. Like
They survive.
they survive.
I think 85% when it comes to breast cancer,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. The chances, the numbers have really skewed
And
towards
these
survival.
are CDC numbers. You can
Yeah.
go out there and find them
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
So we're not talking about that being taken out.
Yeah.
We're talking about when you're alive.
And the period of time it takes you to go through that process is what this is about.
That's it.
Because it's not, okay, you've not passed away, you're here, but you're not working when you're going through those treatments. I mean, for the most part, because it does take a toll on you, and you have to make sure you have something that takes care of that while you are going through that process.
You know what happens in the average employer nowadays, right? If you stop working today because of, let's say, you're going through chemo or whatnot, people say they have disability at work. And
Right.
true, disability is there.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Yeah.
Do you know disability will take care of you 3 months, what we call short-term disability, true? After 3 months, long-term disability will kick in. Long-term disability goes for another 3, so you'll have a total of 6 months. At 0.5% of your pay. We are barely making it with 100%
With a
of your
full
pay.
percent of your pay.
Imagine your pay is cut into half for 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. We all know this country is a country of production, right? If you're not producing, if you're not can you imagine a nurse? If you're not clocking in, clocking out for 6 months, do you have that job?
No.
What's going to
Definitely
happen?
not.
This hospital, because they love us, because, if you look at, and this, I'm not making up numbers.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you pull up the Census Bureau and see the earnings of Africans, our country is the second, if I stand corrected. Top earners, right? Kenya is right there, second. So that means people are making money. The question is, how much of that money are we keeping?
Do you know?
And for how many generations?
Can you guess what percentage of people are actually in plans to actually use that money for their benefit? If you give it a wild guess.
Let me say this, right? Right now, as we're speaking here,
Yeah.
on average American, we barely can make a $400 emergency contribution. $400. 400. Those are facts.
400 doesn't even cover your bills. Your regular bills, light, water, gas. Yeah.
So you driving a Lexus, you have a home, and then don't quote me because I said a Lexus. No problem driving Lexus or living in Canton. But guess what though? The moment you can clock in and clock out. On average, a nurse practitioner earns what? Anywhere from 125 to 150, right? How much of that do you keep? For how long?
Yeah, for how long?
And for how many generations?
Gigs, thank you. I really appreciate this. This has been a very fascinating conversation, and really just something to really, as you have said when you started, ignite that spark, and that's exactly what it has done. That these are conversations we should be having, not just for ourselves. We can't do everything our parents did. Our kids will not do everything we do, but if there's something they can pick from what we have done right, this will be one of those things whereby do everything you can to get yourself ready to leave a legacy, to prepare for the next generation, to actually make a change. We don't have to be the same way year in, year out, generation in, generation out. We can be the change we want to see. And so until next time, from the iSpace 2 studios, from me, your host, Diana Korir with Rand Consultants, and the man behind the lens, the one and the only Mola Wilson with New Dawn Productions. See you next time. Thanks.